Hello there guys, Professor Deck here, back with another Chaos Galaxy video, and today I'll be doing a deck analysis of the recent Aringrey's Arena tournament. So this tournament was pretty big, one because it had a $200 prize pool, so everyone was like playing their best, and secondly, it was the tournament right after the big ban list, which I actually haven't covered for a video yet, so I'll probably cover that soon. And yeah, this entire tournament gave us insight into what like archetypes are good, what kind of builds to go for really good decks. And we did see a lot of like interesting brews coming up because there was a prize for the coolest deck as well. Sadly, I decided to be a meta slave this tournament. So yeah, I also won't cover everyone's list because there is 11 total players, and I don't really want to go through every single one. I'll just go through the ones that I like found interesting. And I also did a little bit of an analysis, so let's get right into it. So we have the planets that were played in this tournament. So we have 3 Pelisium decks, 2 being like king decks, so they're just big Pelisium creature from playing a duple drop, and then this like interesting Pelisium soup deck that basically does what Pelisium wants to do still, but it included a little bit of additional spice, so that was interesting. We had 3 Roka decks, which I assume was just to get the coolest deck award. So yeah, pretty cool. But it's really hard to decipher what those decks were trying to do. I was just looking at it and I just can't really see what's going on. But there were 2 pure Roka decks and then 1 like not so pure one. Yeah, and for Sindel, of course, we have Sindel Tempo, sort of like a staple in Chaos Galaxy now, and 1 Blue Flame Sindel variant. Then we have 2 Shiaz decks, obviously they're just Blue Flame decks, and then 1 Teklar deck. So this is like a pure Teklar deck, I would say, not so pure, but yeah, it was a really interesting deck to see, and it's not Kazarex, so yeah, we'll definitely cover that one because he actually got 3rd place in this tournament. So yeah. Next we have the cards that were most played in this tournament. So we had Zamorzed and Pelfam. Obviously these creatures are sort of staples now, and the reason why they're so high is because I did include the fact that 2 copies of them were played. So yeah, 2 Zamorzed, 2 Pelfam was basically in every list. So yeah, that's why they're the top 2. And then we have all the staples, and yeah, Galaxy Crash for Seal Sign, Beast of the Black Hole, AAA. These are just the pure staples. And then we have Abomination Tomb, which is really strong. I saw it like, it's just a great value card, honestly. Yeah, it's kind of insane that it's at 2 copies, to be honest. Yeah, so next we have the sideboard notables. So we have Super Bouncy Trampoline. With the rise of Pelfam, obviously Super Bouncy Trampoline is the best counter because you're forcing your opponent to waste 7 stars for no reason. So it's just great. Super Flooper. I assume a lot of players were expecting Gaios decks to appear, but it didn't, so Super Flooper was kind of dead this entire tournament, unfortunately. However, Shockwave 8 did super well because of the 3 Pelisium decks, and there were actually quite a lot of 8-star creatures running around. Not that it would be used for that, but yeah, Shockwave 8 did pretty well this tournament, I would say. Abandonment, pretty much a staple in sideboard decks now. In sideboards off decks now. Uh, yeah, there are just a lot of like soup decks that have a lot of planets running around, so abandonment is a must have. Shape Knight Scorn as well. So definitely had to have one Shape Knight in every tournament, but this one just didn't have any. I assume it's because Light Beam Rider was like such a strong card, and Shape Knights right now are very in a very very weird place because they can't really play Syndian as well. I don't know how to explain it, but Shape Knights just don't feel as good as Blue Flames right now. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. But Shape Knight Scorn does help with those smaller creature decks, I guess. So yeah. Of course, we also have like Deep Space Lighthouse, but I didn't really want to add that in because, come on, it's a card that's basically played everywhere. So yeah, we are moving on to the deck list now. So we have the two Polysium deck lists that I picked out. So let's look at Toxic Whooper's one. His list is pretty interesting. He included some like spice into the deck, so it's just a pure Polysium deck until you see Phycodoris, Guster, and Lightning Squalls. He also included Star Mosaic, which traditionally isn't seen in Polysium decks, but I assume in his testing, he had a lot of like encounters with lack of stars, so I guess that's why he included it. But personally, I think Polysium has so much star cheating that Star Mosaic is sort of like a dead card. In general, star game cards are dead cards that just attempt to make the game faster. So I guess that was what he was trying to do. However, with a game like Chaos Galaxy where removal's just everywhere, it's pretty tough. You basically have to have Star Mosaic with double drop Crunch on, or like just Star Mosaic into Crunch on with Leviathan Crown up. So yeah, pretty tough to say that this card is good. But anyways, he included Phycodoris, and Phycodoris is actually quite interesting. A big issue with Polysium is that they don't have a nice middle ground creature, and honestly, Phycodoris is pretty good for a middle ground because for 5 stars you can get 2 bodies that will help you like stall out the game and let you gain a little bit more stars, and sort of like deal with any like big board with any of the Skelly archetype. So yeah, Guster is a pretty good generic card right now because Beast of the Conjurers got banned. So Guster is actually pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good right now. One thing I can't really agree with is including Lightning Squaws, mainly because Droplet Squaws exists, and it's just a better Squaws in general because it draws you a card. And Lightning Squaws, although it kills your opponent's creature, it is likely not gonna do that because there are just so many ways around it, and there are so many creatures that can just die in this format. Like you can just play Guster against a Lightning Squaws, attack with it, then attack with your bigger thing, Zamorzit as well. So yeah, Lightning Squaws doesn't feel great in a Polysium deck. Plus you're limiting your low star Polysium slot as well. The rest are mainly just Polysium staples like Cranchon, Great Serpent. I am surprised that he did not include Cranchon of Polysium, but that is also understandable because he did not include Hammerhead Sharkling and Droplet Squaws in this deck. So yeah, I think his list was pretty okay. It did have a very interesting like take on Polysium. So yeah. Other than that, yeah, his deck was interesting. That's what I'll say. Next we have Anginar. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it right, but yeah, he had a pretty neat Polysium list. Basically includes every single good Polysium card right now with Telecon, and I think Telecon is honestly a great pick because it's sort of like it sort of fixes the issue of your big creatures just die. So with Telecon, it sort of has that like second life. Uh, so it sort of helps, and because his deck is so Polysium heavy, the chance of his Telecon dying is actually really low. So yeah, I think Telecon added into this deck was interesting. I probably would have put it at one copy, but uh, I guess he went with two, just for that added spice. And he did, because he went with like that bunch of Polysium creatures line, he wasn't able to put in Leviathan Crown, which I don't know. It's kind of good and bad. Uh, yeah, but he did run Frozen, which is a great card draw card that I completely missed, and I wish I included in my own deck. Maybe that could have been Leviathan Crown. Uh, but yeah, his list is still great. He designed it very well, I would say. His sideboard is just uh, the normal sideboard stuff. Uh, though I really just wish he included Leviathan Crown because, yeah, Leviathan Crown's just such a great card in Polysium. Next we have Chrono Knight and Nutella's list. So these are the Roka lists, and you can see this is completely different from what we usually see in Roka. So let's start off with Chrono Knight. Chrono Knight's list is very spicy, I would say. Like he has Tamagrob, he has Graviatax, he has Underwood Borrower, which is a card that you basically never see these days. He also had Soulmancer to combo with the Guardian of the Moon. So yeah, his list is pretty neat. It's like a common, like sort of like a suit list that includes a lot of good cards. Yeah, not I don't really have a lot to say about it because I personally don't understand what's going on in this list. All I see is it has good creatures. Tamagrob's a good creature. Scardian combo is a good creature. Graviatax is pretty good at hand disruption. Underwood Borrower, if I'm not wrong, is like resource removal. I can't remember exactly what it does, but I just know it's resource removal. And yeah, his list is just filled with like good creatures. He also included Orbit to try to cheese like players who are trying to load up on stars. And I think this card probably did very well, especially with Polysium, because the issue with Polysium is that we want to save stars to play our big creatures when we run out of small creatures to sacrifice. So yeah, I think Orbit was a great pick in this tournament. Yeah, other than that, he has basically the staples, and there isn't much else to cover. Though his Whirlpool Jetpack pick, because he's running so many 6 stars, was pretty smart, I would say. Yeah, next we have Nutella, Orphan the Demon. He ran a more like pure Roka list, which is much more cohesive, and he didn't run like any like huge hand disruption. He just ran Eye of Evilness because if he just reveals a staple card, he'll just use Eye of Evilness to remove it, and that's just a great counterplay in general. Yeah, his list is just is pretty interesting. He even included like Betrayal of the Floating Rock, which is insane. Uh, yeah, not a lot of comments on it, but he definitely was cooking with this list, I would say. FaceTime was also a really great card right now, honestly. It's great at stalling, and it removes all those small pesky creatures. So yeah, I think FaceTime is actually surprisingly good right now. Other than that, I can't really say much about Roka lists. There are just so many things going on in Roka. So yeah. Uh, yeah, so those are the Roka lists. Now we move on to the top three. So we have Secret 27, Fish, and Harry Knight. So Secret 27 just decided to go for a clean Shios Blue Flames list, including every single card that is broken as hell. His main combo was Guster Time Flash Portal, which was super annoying for a lot of players actually. And it just proved that Secret knew what he was doing. His entire list is super cohesive. When I played against him, he had that Scoria Carrier Max Sprout combo the whole time, like almost 90% of the time, and it was super strong. Yeah, Shios is just really strong right now. Oh, and his inclusion of Forces of Justice while running Thorngaborg, Zamorzit, and Guster, it was just so good. It was insane when he just like took back Fraxels, took back Max Sprouts for insane plays, taking back Shields and Lava Moles to remove more activators. Yeah, his list is great, and his deck building was awesome. And that one orbit is pretty scary. So is that one Erratic Void, which caught me every single time. So yeah, it's just Secret 27's like deck building prowess and skill. So yeah, congratulations. Next we have Fish, basically the second contender to the best player in Chaos Galaxy. He decided to go for a Sindel sort of like tempo-ish Blue Flames line, which is pretty interesting. His list sort of like abuses the Blue Flames but has that Sindel Skelly combo, and it doesn't really run out, like because he's running Sindel, he doesn't really run out of stars that badly, so he isn't super starved for stars. So yeah, I think his list is honestly pretty good. Like, he also included Forces of Justice, which just proves how good it is. Honestly, Forces of Justice is like the new Soulshroom in my opinion. And then he included some one-offs like Abandonment to catch off any rainbow decks. And then Universe Boundary, I assume, is to start unlocking. His Universe Boundary is pretty good here because he can choose to let it be like a Relhex Mine and kill a Wakuman and thin out his deck, or he can choose to activate his Undying Blue Flames if he accidentally draws it at the start. So I think Universe Boundary is actually pretty neat in this deck. Other than that, yeah, not much else to see. He did include Guster and Time Flash Portal, but he only went with one Time Flash Portal, which honestly kind of makes sense. For Secret 27, he wants more Time Flash Portals because he wants to like open the pathway to attack through. Yeah, but with Fish, he's just trying to be more of a tempo player, and Time Flash Portal doesn't fully remove a creature, which does kind of suck. But he does have the combo, which is great. Yeah, his sideboard is also pretty much the same. Yeah, you can see both of them were prepared for Gauss matchups for some reason. Now next is pretty crazy. This is a non-meta Teklar deck by Harry Knight. And I had to dedicate like a full page because his list is just so interesting. It does not include the Blue Flames and decides to include the Pelifalls combo. And he is running Hydrodon of Teklar and Telecon. And he's running a lot of like interesting cards. He's just playing Teklar mainly because of Planet Racer and Top Scanner. Top Scanner is sort of like a card draw engine because if you reveal a Teklar creature, you get to put it to the bottom and then draw a card. He also had Safety Cable and Enderman's Telescope, sort of like abusing that Teklar planet ability. Cable is just... I think Safety Cable is like a recursion card. I can't really remember because I never really looked at Teklar that hard. But basically, his Teklar list was running Great Serpent with Teklar to sort of like mash up and have a good combo with a decent-ish planet. And that worked well for him. It's honestly pretty insane. Plus, he had Warple Jetpack to bring back Great Serpent if the Telecon died, or Telecon if the Great Serpent died, which is pretty insane. Yeah, other than that, his list was pretty interesting. Sadly, I don't think he realized he could include a sideboard. Either that or he accidentally didn't submit his sideboard. But this was his list, and I think his list was great. Maybe instead of Polystium, run the Blue Flames. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I think his list was just amazing. So takeaways, Blue Flame still remains a very strong archetype on its own and is very versatile and hard to interact. Guster has become a better card because of the lack of Beast of the Conjurer. There's obviously a rise in Super Bouncy Trampoline because of the Pelfam unban. And there was a lack of Shape Knights and Gauss decks, although players were super prepared for it, which is... I just can't believe that there were no Shape Knights and no Gauss decks this entire tournament. But it's also understandable because a lot of players were trying to be more interesting with their picks, I would say. So yeah, hopefully this was an informative video for you guys. The deck lists are all in Tournament Vault in the Discord. I'll link the Discord down below. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.